It's about that time, man. We are going to talk about a fragrance that is impossible to ignore in FragCom. Literally impossible. Anyone at any point in time, I don't care where you are, what you shop for, you have heard the name of this fragrance. And yeah, everybody has encountered this fragrance at least at one point in their life. Clone, duper, inspired, or original. This is the talk of the town in FragCom for good and bad reasons. So strap up. Let's go for that ride.
Okay, dinner for two. I watch that head move side to side as I let this in into the room. You are on top, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. Today, from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, we have Baccarat Rouge 540. Everyone talks about this fragrance, guys. I think this fragrance got a lot of its hype from women, even though it's a unisex fragrance, at least from my vantage point. But I know a lot of men who wear it. Due to the clone game and the inspiration game, this fragrance has gotten even more popularity than it already had. But when it comes to niche high-end perfumery, I don't think you can ignore this fragrance, at least in terms of hearing about it, putting your nose to it, and seeing what all the hype is about. It's really interesting about this fragrance because on Fragrantica, it has a 3.8 out of 5, which isn't that great. However, it is voted on by 25,000 people, which is absolutely insane. That's not a typical number for Fragrantica. So it doesn't matter what people are voting on for this fragrance. People are still buying this fragrance for a lot of reasons. So with that being said, let's dive in and get an initial impression on the eau de parfum. This is not the extrait. And we have plenty of juice, so I'm just going to pack it out. Should I hit skin? There's really no need, to be honest. Just know it warms up on skin. Okay, so this is essentially, and I've smelled this fragrance so many times at this point, we might as well throw it on skin just for the crowd. But this is essentially a warm, sweet, spicy, ambery, woody type of fragrance that, to me, if politically correct, I'm saying it's a perfectly unisex fragrance. But many people, if they're new to fragrance in terms of collecting, I would think they would say this is feminine leaning. I've even seen some big collectors call this feminine leaning, but in my opinion, it's the eau de parfum is light enough to feel perfectly unisex. Maybe just with the tiniest lean feminine. Again, warm, ambery, woody, sweet, spicy kind of combination, you know. It's just luxurious. It almost feels holiday-ish in its sweetness, you know. You just kind of picture this luxurious woman with a fur coat on with pearls and jewelry and all that stuff. And it's glamorous. It has a glamorous feel to it, but in a classy, luxurious way, not necessarily a young pop out kind of bad. It's not a bad chick type of fragrance to me. It's got luxury and class to it and sophistication. It's almost like that 30, 40-year-old elegant, you know, woman on the magazine cover of the year that even younger girls would want to be like, you know, like a Madonna or a young Madonna or a Marilyn Monroe type of look. This would have been their scent. You know, and again, I have feminine or female references, but I do think some men like this. But I find men who are attracted to scents like this typically will run into a scent like Instant Crush before a fragrance like this. But nonetheless, it's a good scent, guys. I'm not going to talk this fragrance to death because there's not really much to say. How do I feel about this fragrance? Here's the thing. I've done a lot of research on this, guys, and this fragrance is insanely easy to make. There's like so many tutorials online about how you could take about 5 to 8 molecules or ingredient raw materials and put them together for about $50. You could probably make yourself a 300 ml of Baccarat Rouge if you have the equipment to do it. And people have all these DIYs like, hey, if you like Baccarat Rouge, I'll show you how to make it in less than an hour, and you could give yourself a 200 ml for $50. Or if you want cheaper Baccarat Rouge, you get Club de Nuit Untold, which I still think is unmatched. I don't think anyone's touching Club de Nuit Untold. All you can do is tie with Club de Nuit Untold at this point, as far as the best Baccarat Rouge 540 dupe with monstrous, 10 plus hour performance. So I don't think you need a fragrance like this. It's not elegant or complex enough. It's actually quite simple. But it just is, I think it's kind of like the genesis of its style. Not genesis meaning like the beginning of time of this, but in terms of like fragrances that have blown up and just received like worldwide acclaim. I feel like this is one of the first. This is like a mid 2000s release. Yeah. So 2015 is when it came out. Maison Francis Kurkdjian, obviously. Let's look at some of the notes for this real quick, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. Saffron and jasmine on the top, amberwood, ambergris, and hedione in the heart, fir resin, cedar, sugar, ambroxan, and oak moss. Ton of ambroxan. Not a lot of oak moss. It's not the most earthy scent. Again, this is kind of like a candied, you've got a candied sugar, saffron, ambroxan kick to the max on this, with just soft touches of jasmine, amberwood. Fir resin, I don't really get like any kind of greenness to it. Oak moss, I don't really get a ton of earthiness from it. I feel like this is just a load of ambroxan, sugar, and saffron and amber. The hedione and jasmine certainly give it like a lot of elegant, light, dainty touches to it, which kind of adds to the fanciness, I guess. There's not a ton of dimension to this. I think with a fragrance like this, it's just perfectly blended. That's why it's so successful. For younger guys, men who want to like this scent but want something a little bit less feminine, I think Instant Crush is the way to go. For the younger guys. For the older guys, even though it's nowhere near in the wheelhouse, it's the same vibe. Maybe like a Nichane Ani, or a Xerjoff Lua, or even for men and women alike, Amyris Extrait. I know a lot of people have the original Amyris, but the Extrait is just better. You'll have to trust me on this. And yeah, I mean, it's a good scent. To me, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's very average, but in terms of the feel of it, I think the political answer is like it's an 8 out of 10. Like it's above average. It feels luxury. It feels classy. It feels elegant. But if it's your first encounter, you'll feel like it's an 8 or a 9. As time goes by, you'll realize how generic it is. But to the rest of the world, it will still feel expensive and good. So I'm giving it like I gotta be real, I'm giving it a 7. But truthfully, it probably will feel like an 8 or 9 fragrance to a lot of you. It's a classic. That's why I have it. But you can make it or just get Club de Nuit Untold. In a lot of ways, I feel like that might even have better projection. Don't kill me for it. But this was Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Baccarat Rouge 540 Eau de Parfum. If you have any questions about whether or not to get the Extrait or not, I don't think you should go into the Extrait. I think you should just get Club de Nuit Untold, and you'll have Extrait level performance and concentration. But, if you want to only buy the real thing, then deciding between the Extrait and the Eau de Parfum, I don't think there's a big difference from what I remember. But do your due diligence to go look what other people say about that. Ladies, I feel like on a lady, this might feel like a 8 or a 9. I'm going to be real with you. I think if you're an older individual, like a 40-year-old woman and up, and you're wearing this, then it's a 10 out of 10 fragrance for you, because it just has this kind of old elegance to it. It's timeless and airy, but it feels like a Marilyn Monroe signature fragrance type of thing, where it's like, oh, that's what she wore or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So for that, I feel like on an older woman, it would just be more special than it is. But on younger women, 30 and down, 40 and down, it's kind of just like a solid 8 or 9. To me, it's a 7. I think it's really average, typical. And men, I don't think men should be wearing this fragrance, but my opinion doesn't matter to you. If you love it, wear it, but definitely try it. I don't think it's worth the money. I think everybody could agree on that, unless you're a woman. The cologne just knocks it out of the park. In the same way, Sillage and Iconic and all that stuff's better than Bleu de Chanel and Silver Mountain Water and Millesime Imperial and all that. Club de Nuit Untold might not be better, but it's the exact same, I think, with better performance. So I digress. This was MFK BR540 Eau de Parfum, and I hope you guys stay blessed. Sound off in the comments. I'm sure people have a lot to say about this, but I didn't want to give it too much airtime. Just kind of putting my flag in the ground and saying, hey, we did a review on this. So with that being said, stay blessed. Until next time. Peace.